Started. Hi, good evening to all of you and welcome to the JTC India YouTube Java live classes. So, as already yesterday I have announced that from today onwards I am going to continue the topic called as array. I am going to continue the topic which is called as the array. I am going to start it here. So, all of you get connected firstly and we will start the class, and today's class is going to be very important for everyone, which is either you are studying it or you are working somewhere or whatever you are doing. So, for you it is going to be very important, right? So, well, let's talk about first, good evening to all of you. So, in that first thing is that what I am going to discuss today, that first I will write it here. The very first thing is the array. In array, first one, single dimension array, single dimension array. The first one is the single dimension array. Second point is, this is the first one. Second one is the multi-dimension array. Multi-dimension array. And next one again inside this is different representation of array, and in this only what all different kinds of questions could be there in the interviews. So, interview questions on array. We will be discussing all these things today. Whatever, let's see how much we can complete it, but I'll try to discuss all the sort of things today here from inside this class, right here. Okay, so any one of you are getting any questions, any doubts from the previous classes, anything, you can please ask. Any questions if you have, you can please ask that questions. No questions? Well, good. Okay, so here that's what I have just today's agenda, you can say, or the today's class topics which is there. I have just written here that these all different kinds of topics which I am going to cover up here today in this, right? So, okay, any questions from your side? If you have any kind of questions, if you have any doubts from the previous classes, anything is there, you can please ask. If any sort of doubts you are having into that, you can please ask. Okay. So most probably you all are not having any questions, any doubts. So first thing is that my first question is, which starts from here, that is the very first question is here, that starts with this array. The question as my question is here, that is the array is my first question. Question is, what exactly array is? What exactly array is? What is the array? If I am asking you the question that what is the array? Fine. So let's talk about what is the array and how did we got the requirement of the array. Why we need the array first? Why we need the different kinds of array in Java or any most of the programming languages? Why do we need the array? Fine. So first thing here, let's talk about this here. Suppose or like before giving some of the explanation about the array, what is the first thing which I am explaining you here is, and you all must be aware with that, that what is array. If the basic definition we will call that what is the array, then what you will say, what is the array? Array is the collection of similar type of elements. Array is the collection of similar types of elements. Remember it, I am saying similar types of element which allocates a contiguous memory allocation, that is what basically we will be saying that is the array is. That is what we will be talking about, that the array is. Is that clear now? So again I am repeating, is in Java, array is the collection of similar type of element. Array is the collection of similar type of elements which allocates memory into the main memory in the contiguous format. Sequentially, you can say, that is allocates the memory. Now in that here, whenever we are storing the different types of element in the case of array, or you can, as I said, the similar type of elements you are storing in the case of array here. So whenever we are storing any kind of elements inside the array, so first of all, why do we need to store the element inside the array? What is the purpose of doing it here first? Okay, so see here, in that here there are basically two types of array in this. There are basically two types of array. Or the first one, what we are calling it as the very first one is static array. Static array we are calling first one. The second one is the dynamic array. The very first one is static array, and the second one which we are saying here is the dynamic array, right? The first one is the static array and the second one is the dynamic array, right? What exactly static array is? So I will be coming to the static array and dynamic array properly, but before that here, let's discuss one basic requirement here, which I will be discussing here. What is that? Let's understand here. I am writing here, suppose int of a is equal to 10. If I have written here int of a is equal to something called as the 10, I am writing here. Can I write it? Well, we can definitely write this a is equal to 10. Fine, it is. So individually when we will say this, for this a memory which is there will be allocated of how much it is now? 4 bytes of memory will be allocated. Basically in the case of Java, whenever we are talking about the integer type of array, so it allocates how much memory? That is the 4 bytes of memory it is allocating, and inside this the 10 value which is assigned into this. Fine, it is. Fine. If we have some requirement to declare another variable, let's say we are declaring some another variable. So let's say here int of a1 I am declaring, and let's say a1 is equal to 20 I am declaring, or make it here the b. Here I am making that is the b. So I will be making here, I have written here the b. So int of b is equal to what I am writing? 20 I am writing. Int of b is equal to something called as 20 as I have written. So here in this b, in this cases here 20 has been assigned. Fine, it is. So where the memory for this a has been allocated as well as for this b has been allocated, we cannot say where exactly memory has been allocated. Where exactly in the sense, I am not talking about the type of memory location, but I am talking about exact address. In Java we cannot find the exact address of any of the variables whatever we are defining inside this. We cannot do it. Fine. Okay, so the next one here is, so we are getting, suppose, some requirement, we are getting some requirement to store some similar kind of elements, to store some similar kind of elements with some set of data. With some set of data we are getting like 10, 20, 30, 40 and all things we are getting here, requirement to store some data into that. Fine. So for that, what options you have? Option number one, what we can have is that we can have the 20, 30 variables, and in that corresponding type of variable we can store the different whatever the values we have, we can store it inside this, right? But if it is the similar type of data requirements what you are getting, similar kind of elements requirements you are getting, so in the similar type of data set requirement, what you have to do is you are simply declaring the 20 variables into that case, right? It is. So what we can do here is we can make the set of memory allocations in which by using the indexing representations it can store the element, and whenever we want to access that all elements, we can access it with some index positions of that corresponding one here. Here in this, let's say what I am going to write here, suppose, what is that? So the first as I am talking about the static array, or you can say that is the static array representations as I am saying here. So what is the syntax to represent this array? What is the syntax to represent this array first? The syntax is something like first data type here. What is that? It's a data type. It's a data type I am writing. Data type. Here you see array name. Here first I am writing here is the array name. This array name you can decide what exactly the array name you wanted to write here. It is entirely your choice what kind of array you wanted to declare, what type of array you wanted to define. So it is your choice what type of array you wanted to define. In this case here is equal to. So data type array name and data type here array name. This you can write it here. Even your data type also you can decide which data type you wanted to write. So we have generally two types of data types. What is that two types of data types? One is primitives, or you can say the built-in data types, as well as the custom data types also, right? In both of these things we can write here, right? So we can write custom data type as well as something built-in data types, which is the primitive data types and all. In another form we can call this one as an user-defined data type. User-defined data types, and here is the primitive data types we can call. Are you getting it? Primitive data type. So any of this you can write it. It is your choice what data type you wanted to write here, what data type you wanted to define. Next now, so say here array of array name is equal to, here this is the representation of this array. This is the representation of this particular array I am writing here. This one is the representation of this particular array. What is the array we have written here? Fine. So in this particular representation, whatever we have defined here, we are writing what we are writing? Value 1, value 2, like that. Here the value n we can write here, n number of values which we can store inside the any array depending on your requirement, that how many total number of values you wanted to store. Is it okay? Next now, associated with this here, so I'll do one thing here now. I am writing one example also. I am writing one example here. What is that example I am writing? Let's say first int a. Int of a. This is for example I am writing here. For example I am going to write here. For example int of, which one next now? A. Int of, I am writing here a is equal to 1 1, let's say 2 2 3 3, and the next one what I just want to write is the 4, 4. These all values which is there, we have written into this. These all values which is there, we have assigned to this particular array. So this array which is there, this array, and this representation basically what you have used in order to declare this array. Remember this point. The representation what you have used in order to declare this array, this representation what you have used in order to declare this array will follow the indexing representation. Guys, this will follow the indexing representation. When as I talk about indexing representations here, so say here if this one what I have, this is what we are having here. So this is the indexing representations what it is going to follow. When I am talking about the indexing representations in this case, so let's say the different kinds of representations we do define here. Now it depends. It depends here that how many total number of elements do you have. It depends here how many total number of elements you are having into this. So what is the total number of elements we are having? Again, so let's talk about that. What is the, so I am writing 0, 1, 2, 3 as well as the 4. Here how many total number of elements we have added? 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we need not to provide this particular index positions. Here you see that here. Let's understand it here. Fine. So total number of positions what you have given, index positions you have given, it starts, we are counting with the 0 here. So that starts with the 0, in that 1, 1, here let's 2, 2, 3, 3 and the next one is the 4, 4 we have given here. These all are the corresponding index positions I have given. In that index positions, now these all are the different kinds of values which is available here. Fine it is? Is it okay? See, this is a static array representation I have given. This a static array representation I have given. In this static array, here you have assigned some values you have given into this. So here see the number of values what you have given into this array. The number of values what you have given into this particular array. This number of values, number of data which you have given into this array, that is only going to decide here the length of this array. Length of this array. So length of the array is what? The length of this particular array what you have written here depends on what values you have given here, what values you have assigned in these cases. Are you getting it? So if here you have given the 4 elements, then the length of this array is going to be the 4. Length of this array is going to be 4. Is that okay? Length of the array is going to be 4. Now, so okay, you are now okay with the example part. Okay, here few questions again we are having. What is that few questions we are having here? The question number one what I have is, the question number one what as I am having here is that how much or the question number one is, can we change the length of array? Can we change the length of this array? This is a very important interview question. Can we change the length of this array here? No, we cannot change the length of the array. Once this has been defined, the array what you have defined, you cannot change the length of the array at any point of time. You are not allowed to change the array length at any point of time. You cannot change the length of the array at any means. If I'll more precisely, if I'll say it more in a simplified manner, then what you can say is array follows the indexing representation. It follows the indexing representation, and once it's been defined, you cannot perform any kind of changes in that. Well, in the next form or in this only what you can see here is, you can say that is the static in nature. You can call that array itself, I am saying array itself, array static in nature. This array what we are writing is the static in nature, and this is, I am not talking about I'm not talking about two-dimensional array, or sorry, static array or dynamic array. Any array. I'm talking about any array. If it is any array, so that is static in nature. If any sort of array, whatever we are having, that is static in nature. You must have to remember that point. Array is static in nature, which means that whatever changes and all things we are trying to perform, and especially what kind of changes? The changes is something like the length of the array and all other sort of things. So once whatever it's been declared, we cannot perform any kind of changes in that. Next one is this array, the array whatever we have written here, will be storing the elements. These arrays, whatever we are defining here, will be storing the elements with duplicacy. It will be storing the elements with duplicacy, which means that here in the case of array, whether you are storing a unique element, you are storing the duplicate element, or what type of element you are storing does not matter in that case, right? That could be just the one parameter what it is having, the one basic criteria what it is having, that this array, what elements you are storing in this corresponding type of array. Remember that whatever elements which is there that you are storing inside this array, all these elements, whatever these elements you are storing inside this array should be of the similar type of data type, or even similar type of data type in another form, what you can say, the compatible data type it should be here. It should be the compatibility. Compatibility must be there here, right? It is. So here we cannot perform any length, or we cannot perform any changes in the array whatever we have defined it here. Fine. Okay, next I have one more question in this. The question is what here? The question is what here? That what is going to be the size of this array? Size. How much R you can say here first. What we will say, that how much memory will be allocated for this A. And what is A here? What we will call A is what here? What we will call this one A as in? How much memory will be allocated for A? Any idea? And again, this is one important interview question, that how much memory will be allocated for A. Fine. So say here, memory allocation for A, the memory allocation for this A, remember it, this memory allocation for this A does not depends on, it does not depends on the number of elements what you have added inside this. Never. The memory allocation for this A does not depends on the number of elements which you are storing inside this. Number of elements, whatever you are storing inside this A, it does not depends on that. Fine, it is. So why it is like that, and what is the main concept here now again? The concept is something like here you see, in case of Java, here you see, this is what we will call this A as an array name we will call. Array name we will call. Array name. This is a array name here. A is what? Array name. A is the array name. Correct? So in Java, array names are this name A which is there is the reference variable. Array names, whatever you are writing, whatever you are defining, these array names are the reference variable in that case. Is it okay? Array names, whatever we are writing, whatever we are defining is the reference variable. It's a reference variable, remember it. So any kind of reference variable, whatever we define, any sort of reference variable, whatever we are defining, remember that. Any sort of reference variable, whatever we are defining. So see, A is the reference variable. Fine. So this A reference variable always will allocate 8 bytes of memory. It is going to allocate 8 bytes of memory. This A which is there, this A is what? A reference variable. So this reference variable A is going to allocate always 8 bytes of memory. And not only this, any kind of reference variable, if it is any type of reference variable, then it is going to allocate how much memory? 8 byte of memory it is going to allocate it here, right? So in all the way you should understand this point here. So exactly here I'll come again to that point. So see here, this is a reference variable which is allocating how much memory? 8 byte of memory it is allocating. In the same way, so see, this is the array. Array is what? Array is what here? It is an object in the case of Java. Object. This is the object in the case of Java. So arrays are what? It is a certain kind of object. Arrays are what here? This is the certain type of object in the case of Java. So arrays are what? It is an object. Arrays are what? It is an object. So once again I am coming to that point. Array names are the, this is the name of this array. So this is the reference variable. Array names are the reference variable, whereas what next? The array whatever we have, this A which is there is the reference variable, and array what you have created, this is an object in the case of Java. Remember this point. Remember that point. Array names are the reference variable and arrays are the object. Fine? Now here, in another way, we just need to understand one more thing here. What is that? If in case I am just asking one question, all of you please answer it. The question here is, if I'll ask you that how much total amount of memory which will be allocated for this array, the total amount of memory, this array whatever you have created, how much memory is going to be allocated? Memory allocated for array. How much memory will be allocated? I am not talking about this A, and this A is not an array. The A whatever we are talking about is not an array. But if I am talking about this one, this particular object whatever we have written, so how much memory it is going to allocate for this array? Can you please tell me how much memory it is going to allocate? Yes, I am expecting your answer on this. How much memory will be allocated for this array? No answers? Four byte. Okay. 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 You all are giving the different answers, different answers, right? And I'm just getting in something different way. How you are assuming? You are assuming that, see, this is an type of integer. This is what type of integer? This is the type of integer. The array whatever we are having here, is the type of integer array. Is that okay? The array whatever we have defined here is the type of integer array what we are having. This A which is there is the type of integer array we are having, correct? So integer allocates the 4 bytes of memory. Int, how much it allocates? Int takes the 4 byte of memory. This is taking the how much memory? It is taking the 4 byte of memory. Fine. And when it is taking the 4 byte of memory, remember it. So you are thinking like total 4 indexes has been allocated. So 4 into how much it is now? Total is the 4. So 4 is the indexes. This is indexes and this is the integer memory location, and then you are calculating it like this. You are doing it. Fine. Am I right or not? Are you doing in the same way or not? And you all must be doing in the same way, correct? But remember one thing. As I said that in Java, array names are the reference variable. Array names are the reference variable whereas arrays are the object. So if I'll ask you everyone, those whoever is looking at this video, those who are watching this video now or later on, at any point of time, can you please tell me that how much amount of memory will be allocated for any kind of object? How much amount of memory which is there will be allocated for any kind of object? Can you please tell me the amount of memory which is allocated for the any kind of object? Yes, I am waiting for your answers. Fastly. That how much total amount of memory which is there will be allocated for any kind of object. Okay. You are giving some answers, right? And what answers you are giving it, think and give these answers. My question again, once again I am repeating my question, that how much total amount of memory which is there will be allocated for any kind of object? That is my question is here. That is what the basic things as I am asking here. My question is how much total memory will be allocated for any type of array, any type of object. If you are saying, many of you are giving the different answers, 8 byte of memory you are saying that will be allocated for any type of object, right? It is? No. First thing is that in Java, the object size has not been declared, like what should be the size of any object here. We cannot say that what is the size of any objects what we are going to have. We cannot say it here. We cannot say anything like what should be the size of any particular object. No, we cannot even find it out. They have not given any technique, something by using that we can find the size of object. No, there is no size of any kind of object. So if I am saying here no size of any object, and as just now I told you that array in Java is an object, this array whatever you are writing here is an object. So since this array what we are writing is a type of object, then how can we say that the memory for this array which is there will be allocated? It's something like you are calculating in this manner. Please answer me, right? Can we say something like this? Yes, definitely some memory will be allocated for this. Some memory will be allocated for this. True, some memory it is going to allocate into this cases, right? But you cannot say that how much total memory will be allocated, and even you cannot find it out. Approximately what you can say, okay, it is the 4 byte, at least it is taking the 4 into something like that, so it is most probably it is going to allocate that much amount of memory, right? It is, you can say something like that, but you cannot say that this is only the amount of memory which it is going to allocate. And it is one of the very good question in your interview. For interview it is very good question, that how much memory which is there should be allocated for any kind of object. Correct it is. So we cannot say here, again I am repeating it, we cannot say how much total amount of memory will be allocated for any kind of object. Those whoever is attending at present, those who are in college or those who are working somewhere or preparing for interviews, so for them this is going to be a very important question in that case, right? That how much total amount of memory which is there should be allocated for any kind of object in this case. Is it okay? Now let's have another concept into this here. Okay, so see here in this, so see here again, many of you are confused about what you are confused, the memory allocated for this one and the memory allocated for this array. See, this is one, some memory has been allocated, but we are not saying, we are not coming on a conclusion that how much total memory will be allocated. We are not coming on that conclusion, right? It is. And a which is there, it's a reference variable. It's a reference variable. We are calling it as a reference variable. And since it is a reference variable, it's a reference variable, so it will be storing some array object reference. This is the object, and now this object reference which is there, that will be stored here. That object reference is going to be stored here. That is the reference it is going to store here. And in order to store any type of reference, if we are trying to store any kind of reference, so in order to store any kind of object or any kind of reference whenever we talk about, for that minimum of 8 bytes of memory is allocated, right? And that's the reason here this name which is there, the A which is there, for that memory what it is being allocated is the 8 byte of memory is allocated, right? It is. Hope you are getting this point and you are getting the clear idea about this, how much total memory is going. And for interview, you see, very important question, and most of the cases the students are just giving the wrong answers of this question here, right? It is. So you should again understand about this all here. Is it okay? Again, so if any question again in this, you can ask. If any kind of questions are there, you can please ask in this. Well, next now in this, okay, so did you got one clear concept about this? Did you got some concept into this? Maybe you would have got it, or okay, fine. Now next one here is, what is the next, again some concepts we are as such we are talking about here is, let's come to that point here. So this is one array representation, and this array representation what we did in the static form, we have represented this array. In the form of static, we have represented this array. Clear? Is that okay? Now, let's coming to this point. So, okay, now I am coming to the next point. How we are going to do the dynamic array representation. How we are going to do the dynamic array representation, how we are going to define the dynamic array. So let's have a look on the dynamic array representations, what we are going to write it here in this. So let's say here, it's a dynamic array. So here I am writing data type. Well, I am writing what? It's a data type. After writing the data type, now array name. Here this particular one that you are saying it is an array what you are going to represent into this case. This is the array representation what you are writing in this. This is the array representation whatever you are trying to write it inside this. Fine. The next one again here is equal to, so data type array name, and next one again, it's a new data type, and here you are giving the length, or you can say the size of that particular array. Fine, it is. Here you can write it in the, like this you can write here. This is one array representation what you have written into this. Is it fine now? So see, data type you are writing, array name you are writing, data type you have written, array name is equal to new of data type you have written into this. Fine. Now this is one syntax which I have just now told you. This is the syntax to declare the array. This is the syntax what we are writing here to declare this array. Now at the same time here I am writing, let's say some data type you can take, it's your choice, say any kind of data type. So here I am taking int of a data type as I am taking. Int of a data type as such I have taken here into this. So is equal to new of some int here, you see. So here I am writing int, and inside this side suppose I am giving the 3 here. Here you are giving the 3 in this. Fine. And what is that we are calling this one as? We are calling this one as an static type of array. What we are called, sorry, dynamic array we are calling. It is a dynamic array. It is a what? Dynamic array. And actually it is more and more popular with these concepts itself, isn't it? It is more popular with this concept itself. What is that concept is? With the static array representation and something called as the dynamic array. More and more popular it is, right? Okay, so let's see here what is, okay, here now I'm writing. So let's do the representation of this. I'm doing the representation of this particular one, whatever the example, for example, I have written here. For example, I am writing here. So this array representation as such I am doing it. Okay, all of you are there, na? Wake up or not? Sleeping, everyone? Are you there, or all of you are sleeping? Sleeping in the sense is eating something, because you all are sitting in your home. Aram se you are attending the class properly, right? It is, and hope so that is coming complete classroom kind of feeling. Is it coming the classroom feeling, like you are sitting in your class and attending the class, but with some extra facility like coffee, tea, chips and all things is there while attending these classes? Yes or no? Okay. So purely classroom feeling you guys are getting it or not? Okay. Fine. So don't get full classroom aram se feeling, like having chips and attending class and taking tea and all things, right? Because at that same time you need to note down also something, and you need to understand things also, right? So you have to understand the concepts as well. You need to be concentrated on that also, right? Okay, so anyways, what my question is that you are getting the complete classroom environment, classroom feeling, you are getting it here. Fine, it is? Well. Now again in this here, as I just now told you, the representation of this array, that is the dynamic array representation, as I am going to do here. So what is this dynamic array? The dynamic array representation is something like, say here, I am writing 0, here 1 and 2. Fine? 0, 1 and 2, we are representing it. We are getting something like this inside this. What is this? Corresponding representations we are, okay, well. In this now the 3 is what? Length of this array. So 3 index positions has been allocated here. 0, 1, 2. The 3 index positions has been allocated into this. Fine. Once the 3 index positions which has been allocated into this case here, so what next you have to do? You are writing here 0, 0 and 0 you are getting here. What is that you have what you are getting here exactly? 0, 0 and 0 you are getting into these cases. Is it okay? Now, when you are talking about that 0, 0, 0 something we are writing here, so see I want, and these all are the default values. Default values of int type. Int type here you are getting. Because why int type? Because this is the integer type what you have written here. See, I have very good questions for you now. What is the next question? Now, okay, let me come again to this point. So, you are going to assign a of 0 is equal to, let's say 101 you are writing. You are performing some kind of assignments into this. Well, here a of 1 is equal to something called as the 202 you are writing. Yes, we can perform this assignment. And a of 2 is equal to something called as 303. I am performing this corresponding assignments. Well, when I have done something like this, when I am doing something in this particular way, so what I can do here? What I can do here is, here something called as the 101, 202 and 303. We are getting all that. Fine, it is? All these different assignments we have got it here. So this is dynamic array representation dynamic. Now one question here. The question number is that previous one. Okay, before coming to that, one more question is here. The question here is that, boss, can you please tell me that can I change the length of this array? Because since it is a dynamic one, right? So my very simple question is, can I change the length of this particular array? Please answer me. Can I change the length of this particular array? whatever the array we are writing here, so can I change the length of this particular array or not? Yes, please tell me. Can I change the length of this particular array, whatever we have here? Can I change the length of that array? This array? Values is different thing. I am not talking about values. But at present, as I am just asking is, can we change the length of the array? No, we cannot change. We cannot change it here. Okay. Very good. We cannot change it. Fine. Okay. Now, when we are okay, in between, guys, keep on liking the video, right? Share also, like also, comment also. Fine it is, because since you all are attending on this class on YouTube, right? So please keep on sharing it, liking it, right? Which will be too good. And if you are liking the video, or if you are just sharing the video, right? So in that you need not to pay anything. That is also good. And just we will be recognized. People will be keep on watching also, and some of your friends, some of your other colleagues will also may get some benefit of all this, the classes what we are doing, because here in night, on this prime time, what we'll call it as a prime time, which is an means every TV serial, news channels, everything will start sharply at 9 o'clock, right? And we are also starting everything at 9 o'clock itself, or not? So if everything is going on 9 o'clock, so in order to compete with them, in order to get more TRP, you should support us, correct na? Support in the sense is like share it, subscribe it, like it, and whatever you are doing, so that which can give some benefits to us in order to increase our this YouTube channel, which will be good, correct na? So anyways, thank you. Already you have means you are giving a lots of support to us, and means all the way we are getting good response from you all. Very good response we are getting from you all, but still we are waiting for more response. The way you are giving the more response, you are sharing it, and that we are getting as of now, it's okay, good. But again, we are expecting some more, right? And when we are expecting more, so we will also give more to you. Fine. So it's a simple give and take policy. You give your social media platform, share it, so that, and we will give our best set of skill set, knowledge, and all other things, whatever we can share with you dedicatedly, without any missing anything, and by taking the commitment. With the commitment we are coming here, right? Every day mostly we are coming, and we will be keep on coming it here every time, and very soon you are getting many new things also. So that's what, guys, like, if you just give some kind of this kind of support, like share and all, really it is going to be good and going to be helpful for us. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Here in this, now I am writing few more things here in this. What is the few more things as I am writing here? What is the few more things we are getting it into this? That if we cannot change the length of this dynamic array, if we cannot change the length of this particular dynamic array, fine, we cannot change the length of this dynamic array, fine it is, or we, as I said, we cannot change the dynamic array length. Okay. Now another question, can we add different types of elements inside this array? Question, can we add different types of element inside this array? No. Whichever is compatible type to the integer, that elements only we can add. But other than that, we cannot add any other element which is not compatible to the type of integer. Hope you are understanding it. So whatever we are adding, whatever type we are adding, whatever things what we are adding inside this, that only we could do here. Okay. So if we cannot add different types of element, we cannot change the length of this array, don't you think that apart from these declarations there is no difference with the static array? What was there in the case of static array, the same kind of functionality we are getting in this also? Yes or no? We are getting the similar kind of properties, we are getting the similar kind of things, similar kind of features here. Everything which is there is of similar types itself here, we are getting it here. So when we are getting this all similar type of response, so why do we call this as a dynamic? This is my question. Or in Java, is it or let me come to the point here. Okay, in Java, really do we have the two different types of array, static array and dynamic array? Yes or no? In Java, do we have two different types of array, static array and dynamic array? Yes or no? Please tell me. You might be thinking that I am confusing you all. No, I am not confusing you all. I am coming properly, think like whatever is there in your mind, that sort of things I am trying to explain here. Are you getting it? So here, if we cannot do anything, we cannot perform any kind of changes, we are not able to sort out anything, then what type of dynamic array it is? Don't you think so? And why we are calling it as a dynamic array? Absolutely. The thing is here, the concept here is, see, this is a dynamic representation. It is a dynamic representation of the array. This is a dynamic representation, not the dynamic array, remember this point. And only in Java, we have the one type of array, which is a static array. We have only the one type of array concept, which is called, and we will be calling that one as an static array itself, not exactly the dynamic array into this cases here, right? That is just an representation here. That is just an representation in this cases. Is it okay? So now any questions? This here at present, just now I have explained about the basic set of array here. Here that is the basic array we have seen, which is an static array concept, and that is too in the form of single dimension array inside this we have discussed, right? So many concepts we have discussed. I am just summarizing all the questions what related to the interviews we have seen it here. Okay, let's go through this. Number one, array. What type of array? Can we perform any changes in the array? No. Once you have declared the array, you cannot change the length, or it is static in nature, basically you can say. Fine. When I am saying here that if I am writing here something array int of a, so see here, this is the name of the array. Name of array. Fine it is. And here whatever this array you are defining, according to this number of values what you are providing, that is only going to be the length of this array. Is it okay? So whatever values you are providing, that is only going to be the length of the array. And next one here, we cannot perform any kind of changes. This a which is there, how much memory will be allocated for this a? Remember that the memory allocation for this a, or if you are writing here a1 like this here you are doing, you can represent this array like this also. A1 you are doing here, if like this also you are doing, and new of something called as an int you are doing it here. Suppose 3 you are giving, and here 1, 2 and 3 you are giving. So what is this here? See, for this A1 also 8 byte of memory will be allocated. 8 byte of memory, because this is a reference variable. So you should not now get confused with this. This is a kind of reference variable. Now here this is an object here. Here it is an object here. This is an object into this case. And how much memory will be allocated for this array? We cannot say, and we will not be able to say how much memory will be allocated for this array. Fine? At the same time, Here the number of elements you have given, that only is going to be the length of the array. Remember it, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2 and 3. That is only the length of the array. And in that, corresponding values you have assigned inside this. Is that okay? Now here, 3 when you have written, so this 3 is going to be only the length of the array. 0, 1, 2. This is length of the array, right? Later on you can provide the values inside this corresponding array. Fine it is? So here basically you would have got some difference into this here, right? And again one more type of array. Okay, see, on this array and on all these other types here, whatever, as I'm just showing you here and I'm writing to you all here, on that I will be writing the different types of, and see, still two-dimensional array is there. In two-dimensional array, many different types of concepts are there. Many interview questions are there. How we are representing the two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, four-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, how we are going to represent it. What all the different forms, representations, techniques are there. That everything we will be now talking about, and I'll be writing more examples on these all different concepts, topics. That is in the tomorrow's class I will be writing here the different kinds of examples which will make more clear and better understanding for you. Is it okay? So I have done with my topic today, and okay, so any questions you want to ask, you can please ask any questions, anything, whatever. Okay, so now I think so the video quality, audio quality and everything, I don't think so, like means speed of explaining everything, is it fine? Any kind of feedback, any comment is there, you can please write it in the comment box. Hi Rakesh Singh. Okay, so if any kind of comment is, any kind of thing is there, you can please just, yes, you can say that is only static type of array is there, but the array representation is of in the two different ways. One, you can call it as a static array, and second one is the dynamic way of representation of the array. You can give the answer in this manner. You can give this answer in this manner. The question what he is asking is that in interview, can we say that only static type of array in Java? Yes or no? Tell me, what about you all? Yes. Any one of you, can you please tell me? The question is, in interview, can we say that only static type of array? Yes, you can say it. But yes, the representation and the way of representation of the array, declaration of the array, you can say that is the static way and dynamic way, and that is to the value assignment is the static and dynamic way. It's not the array, it is the static and dynamic. Okay? Anything else, anyone? How memory will be allocated for an object? That we will discuss the topic when we are coming a JVM memory management. In JVM memory management, we will be talking about how memory and all other things are going to be allocated for any kind of object and any sort of things here, right? Any other questions to anyone? In this, any type of doubt, any questions, any sort of things you have, you can please ask. Okay, so no questions? So thank you guys, thank you for coming the class. Good night to all of you, and like, share, subscribe, comment, however you are sharing it, share it, and thanks for attending the YouTube live class. Thank you. Good night to all of you.